Live from Studio 67 in Florida's Capital County. It's time to be FACish.
Access granted.
Good afternoon. It is the end of week 4. This is Jeff Scala with the Florida Association of Counties, and welcome to a remix edition of FACish. It is Jeff and Bob in the afternoon with the whole FAC team. We have made it 4 weeks, Bob.
That's amazing. Want y'all to make sure you understand it takes 2 of us to try and fill in for Davin, and we're still not going to come close to doing the job.
And we're going to do our best this week, and maybe in the future Davin will be back. But, you know, this week we had a lot going on, a lot of bills, budgets dropping. What else, Bob?
A little bit of this, a little bit of that. A lot of law enforcement standing behind me when I testify, but we'll get to that a little bit later.
And, of course, we had a lot of, festive air with our friends from way down south in Miami, but we'll talk about that later. This week we're going to do a little intros, and our question of the week is, what is your hype song? Jared.
That's a good question, Jeff. What's been good to me recently? She Wolf by Shakira. She starts howling, and I got it on the car, and before I know it, I'm going 20 miles an hour over the speed limit. Just comes over me.
Wow. Bob, what do you think?
I'm not familiar with the song.
And Bob, this is our first time having a podcast with Jared. So, and I guess your first face-to-face encounter with Jared.
That was on Monday. That's the first time I saw him. He's taller than me. We're going to have to deal with that.
All right. Shiloh, what's your hype song?
Alright, I'm gonna have to go with Pump It by the Black Eyed Peas.
All right.
I do know that song.
Bob is aware. Bob is aware.
I'm sorry?
Can you sing it for us?
Not today. Not today. We don't have enough time for that.
26 counties have passed ordinances saying that I'm not allowed to sing with more than 2 other people present.
And with that, Sarah.
Alright, so I have 2 power songs. 1, Power by Kanye West, and 2, little oldie, Eye of the Tiger by Survivor.
Great song on Guitar Hero.
Thank you.
Go rock. Bob is a Guitar Hero legend. Eddie, what we got?
Lunatic Fringe by Red Rider.
Ooh. No comments, Bob?
All of us, by week 4, are on that fringe.
Milan, what do we got?
I would say, in light of Friday, I would say This Is How We Do It by Montel Jordan.
All right. Got some 90s vibes pumping in the studio.
Of course.
All right, I'm going to pull one out. Nobody else in the room is going to know it except maybe Eddie. And then I'm going to go with one people will know. Red Barchetta by Rush. And then We Will Rock You by Queen.
And that's also a legendary hype song. And I'm gonna wrap this up with, I heard there was a lot of smack talk last week about, some school spirit and a lot of talk about the Gators. Well, when I was a Seminole and we won 27 straight games in football, our hype song was always All I Do Is Win by T-Pain, and that is my hype song.
Feels like a distant memory.
We'll get back on top soon. We're a basketball school now, but let's get to it. We got a lot to run through here. And Sarah, do you know what time it is?
What time is it?
It's about to go down.
All right, here is the rundown for the week. First up, both sovereign immunity bills were up again this week, HB 985 and SB 974 by Representative Beltran and Senator Gruters. The Senate bill was amended from the $1 million cap to $300,000 per person and $400,000 per incident. The bill also was amended to provide for inflationary adjustments every 10 years. The House bill stayed the same with the $1 million caps per person. Both passed almost unanimously unanimously in both chambers, and SB 974 is up again on Tuesday at 3 in Senate Community Affairs. We had a lot of bills related to building this week. First up was SB 644, Building Inspection Services by Senator Broder in Senate Regulated Industries, and that passed unanimously. And its companion, HB 423, Building Inspection Services by Rep. Lamarca, also passed unanimously, and both head to their last committee stops. And last up, in response to the Surfside tragedies, we had SB 1702 by Senator Bradley, was up in Senate Regulated Industries, and that passed unanimously. And a House committee bill was introduced this week, SB 7042. It passed unanimously and will head to Senate Appropriations for its last committee stop. That's it for me.
Eddie, I think we've got another legal eagle over there.
Certainly in the making. Absolutely.
All right. We're moving right along. One at a time. Bob?
Things are going great so far.
All right. Shiloh, do you know what time it is?
It's 5 o'clock somewhere, right?
Oh, yeah, it's 5 o'clock here.
All right.
It's about to go down.
All right. In the tech world, we had some new standards for cybersecurity move forward unanimously in the Senate. So that's Senate Bill 828, Critical Infrastructure by Senator Hudson in its first committee, Governmental Oversight and Accountability. Then in the agricultural and rural affairs world, there were 2 bills to promote agritourism, which continue to maintain favor in both chambers. So that's Senate Bill 1186 and House Bill 717. In the environmental arena, we had improvements to water quality enhancement areas, which received favorable support in both chambers. So that's Senate Bill 1426 and House Bill 965. We had some resiliency efforts that took off in both chambers. So that's Senate Bill 1940 by Senator Broder. And then we had a committee bill, which is EAF1. FAC did waive in support of this bill. And last but not least, we had House Bill 1475. So that was a PFAS bill, which passed favorably. FAC supported the bill. And that's about it.
Hey, Charlotte, what is PFAS?
Yeah, you got
Eddie,
me.
we're calling in the big guns.
They're called forever chemicals.
Thank you, Eddie. That is what we're talking about, are things that stay in the environment forever. You can find them anywhere. And really, the resiliency bills are huge. Didn't you do a data point on that?
Oh, yes, definitely. If you want to check that out, you could go ahead and go to our website. We have some great overview of the resiliency efforts that went by in 2021 and 2022.
And all those bills really feed into this, concept that FAC has been working on this year, a long-term planning, huge bills that they started last year using some federal funds. We'll be watching those, waving in support. Be sure to check those out as they move through the process.
Keep an eye.
Bob,
Yeah.
we've got one more rundown.
One more rundown.
It's your analyst, Bob.
I'm sorry.
Come on, this is Jeff and Bob in the afternoon, not just Jeff.
And Bob. All right. Hey, Jared, do you know what time it is?
It's
rundown time. In the world of health, we saw a committee substitute for SB 1144 on certificates of public convenience and necessity by Senator Broder, moving through Senate Health Policy on Wednesday. This bill would exempt first responders of some fire rescue entities from the need for a COPCN. FAC waived in opposition to this bill. Our concerns center on the fact that it distorts the continuum of care and could undermine the authority of a given county's common medical protocol. Moving right along, HB 105 on regulation of smoking by counties and municipalities by Representative Fine was on the agenda in House Environment, Agriculture, and Flooding sub today. The Senate version, SB 224 by Senator Gruters, has not been heard since November, but has been placed tentatively on the agenda for Monday. These bills would authorize county and municipal governments to restrict smoking and or vaping within the boundaries of parks and beach space. It would also rebrand the Florida Clean Indoor Air Act as the Florida Clean Air Act to reflect this broader application. We saw a handful of ad valorem tax exemptions on the move this week. The big one would be HB 1, which would essentially...
Jared, that's my one big thing.
Oh, is it?
You're stealing my one big thing.
Man, I didn't want to use the mic drop moment, but Bob just had to cut, his,
Man.
protege over here off right away.
Well, how often is one going to be my one?
I'll defer. I'll back off.
All right, please continue on the other bad property tax bills.
The other bad property tax bills include HB 751, which would essentially deals with ad valorem taxation of construction equipment by Representative Clemens. This passed favorably, 21-5 in House of Propes on Monday. The bill would provide that construction equipment owned by heavy equipment rental dealers would qualify as inventory exempt from taxation. We are kind of worried about the impact this would have on the tax base of our rural counties.
And there's two things in that bill. One is that they're defining as inventory only for non-school purposes, something that's never happened before, and it's all property owned as being treated as inventory, not just those items that are on their lot on January 1. So even if it's out under a productive contract, rental contract, they're trying to define it as inventory. Thank you, Jared.
Absolutely. Moving forward, we had a similar tax exemption for assisted living facilities moving through both chambers this week. Senate Bill 362 by Senator Rodriguez passed unanimously in the Senate Community Affairs Committee. The bill is expected to move on now to Senate Finance and Tax. Its House counterpart, HB 401 by Representative Smith, also passed unanimously in House Ways and Means on Monday. Both bills essentially just represented a small expansion of eligibility to limited partnerships for nonprofit homes for the aged, basically. That is all I got for you guys this week. As always, for any additional details or questions, please consult our weekly legible.
Wow, Bob. He's done it twice. What do you think? It's getting better each time?
I don't know. It was taxing.
Good one.
And Jared, of course, has the opportunity to go to the REC every week.
No.
I know that doesn't really sound very exciting to Sarah, but
Not my favorite thing to do.
I've heard something else about Jared. Something, I believe, when I was listening to last week's podcast, that he was an honors student at FSU. Is that correct, Jared?
No,
I mean at UF. At UF.
Right.
I'm sorry.
why do you bring it up,
rumblings
Bob?
are true. I was an honors student at the University of Florida.
The first time ever we have an honor student on this team.
My mom's got a bumper sticker.
No, but I'm also an honors student that also completed an honors program and then got a master's degree. Bob, I think you've got a master's degree too, don't you?
Yes, I do. Which one are you talking about?
Both.
Oh, both. Yes, I do have two. Now, I was not in an honors program. As I believe it was discussed on last week's podcast, I went to 4 schools in undergrad. I was more of a dishonor program than it was an honor program. But yes, I do have 4. When I finally knuckled down, I spent 4 years getting my undergrad and 2 master's degrees from what I refer to as it is the proper USF. FSU is just USF backwards. And so I want everybody to know that. But yes, because I have 3 degrees from USF, I can never deny it. I am full of bull.
But Bob, you're full of bull. We've heard that one a million times.
Well, Eddie has a law degree, so I think
I was
that
about to
tops
say,
everyone in this room.
Eddie.
He's the lawyer destroyer.
And of course, Davin's got a master's degree too. Sarah, do you know where his master's degree is from? Does anybody know where Davin's master's degree is from?
University of Wisconsin?
It is not the University of Wisconsin. This is good
good
trivia.
school.
Milan, do you know where Davin went to grad school?
I don't know where he went to grad school, but I know undergrad was Florida A&M University.
That's right.
We'll get back to you on that.
Kansas?
Davin, Bob, ding, ding, ding. Davin is a Jayhawk as well as a Rattler.
Kansas?
Rock
University of Kansas? KU.
Does the Jayhawk eat the Rattler, or does the Rattler eat the Jayhawk?
Tune in next time. All right. Well, we've gotten through the rundown. I think we move on to our next segment. And I think we're going to start with the one, the only, Eddie Labrador for
One Big Thing.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the end of week 4. And the one big thing for me this week has been wage preemption. We started out in the Senate in listening to, or actually taking up Senate Bill 1124 by Senator Gruters, which was temporarily postponed last week after the committee ran out of time. And this week, the committee approved the bill, and it now moves on to Commerce and Tourism. And just Thursday afternoon, the House Regulatory Reform Committee subcommittee took up CS for HB 943 by Representative Harding. And these bills, what they do is they, first of all, prohibit or preempt any kind of local wage mandate. And a local wage mandate is defined broadly in the bill to mean any requirement enacted by a political subdivision which requires an employer to pay any or all of its employees a wage rate other than the wage rate required under state or federal law. So for purposes of, here in the state of Florida, the minimum wage rate as calculated pursuant to Section 24 of Article 10, which is the minimum wage amendment, is $10 an hour. Now, there was some confusion in the committee today because the sponsor, Representative Harding, described this as applying to prevailing wages and not living wages. But in fact, that's just a misinterpretation of the bill, because the preemption applies very broadly, and it applies to any requirement or setting a wage rate. And the other thing that makes it clear that it applies to living wages is, one, under current law in Section 218.077, local governments are able to establish a minimum wage rate other than the state minimum wage, and to require certain benefits for entities that contract with the local government to provide goods and services to the local government, or when the local government actually provides a direct tax subsidy or abatement of taxes, so that the employer pays a higher wage rate or maybe provides benefits. And currently, there are 4 counties that do this: Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, in a limited way, and Alachua County. Those are the only 4 counties that we've been able to determine have living wage ordinances. This law has been in effect for 20 years. So this bill will, by preempting our living wages in these counties, they will be basically taking employees that work for contractor employees on county contracts and reversing their current wages from anywhere between $13 and, let's say, 61 cents with healthcare benefits to up to $17 an hour without healthcare benefits, and reversing that to the state minimum wage of $10 an hour. Now, that $10 an hour minimum wage here in Florida is about 33% less than the federal poverty level wage rate for a family of 4. So it will have a huge impact on our South Florida counties and in Alachua County. The South Florida counties in particular are the 3 highest or most expensive counties to live in the state of Florida. On average, to live in those three counties, you pay anywhere from 13 to 19% more to live in those counties in terms of your prices for housing and purchasing, goods and services, and being able to provide your kids with milk and cookies. So we spoke against the bill today, and we have been speaking against the bill in every committee in which the bills have appeared, and we will continue to do so until either the bills are defeated or we're defeated.
And I know Eddie's been working that bill very hard. We've had county commissioners come up and testify on those set of bills, but we'll continue to work at them and stop them.
And in particular, I want to point out that Commissioner Higgins from Miami-Dade County was here last week, and she testified both times in committee against the bill, and she did a very good job talking about the impact to workers in Miami-Dade County from this particular bill.
Thank you, Eddie.
All right, Eddie.
Bob.
All right.
We're going to have to hand this off some way, so I think I have to cue it up.
All right, tell me.
One big thing.
As you may surmise from earlier, my one big thing is House Joint Resolution 1 by Representative Tomko. The bill would create a new property tax exemption for the value of a homestead between $100,000 and $150,000 for certain specified employees, professions. They would be for teachers, for firefighters, for police officers, for correctional officers, and for child welfare workers. I spoke against the bill in committee.
Hold up, Bob. You spoke against who in committee?
I spoke against the bill. We talked about how valuable those professions are, how much we appreciate the hard work and service that they do. But the right way to recognize them is not by social engineering the property tax system of the state.
I think that might be our...
Oh, come on, Jared. Boom! Mic drop moment. Actually, I believe Jeff has a superior moment later when we get to his one big thing. But yes, the exciting part of the testimony was when I walked to the podium, at least 35 officers, fully uniformed, fully armed, standing behind me. It was a moment. That was the one big thing.
Thank you, Bob. It's HJR1. It's going to be it is a priority of the House this session.
It's up again Monday.
We're going to be watching that in its Senate companion as it moves through the process. Bob will be there.
I'll be there. Great thing is, at some point in time, the bullets start going back through the same holes.
And with that, Bob, you're gonna have to tee this up. This is Jeff and Bob in the afternoon. Come on,
yes, now. Jeff, and it's 5:00 here. Jeff.
One big thing.
And of course, my one big thing wouldn't be complete without more broadband, and it was a big thing this week. House Bill 1543, also by Representative Tomko, was up in the House Tourism, Infrastructure, and Energy Subcommittee, and it was a busy and packed committee room with many other bills on the agenda, but the Florida Association of Counties and the Small County Coalition were there to speak on some concerns. FAC spoke opposed to a bill, and I know that sounds crazy because we've been so focused on broadband, but I'm going to walk through some of the reasons why we are opposed to the bill. Under this bill, there are $100 million specifically allocated from the fund to the pole replacement program. The funds would subsidize the costs to replace eligible electric utility poles in unserved areas. However, the bill lacks metrics to measure deployment outcomes by not contemplating an accountability process. Even in the staff analysis, it rightfully points out that the funds will be distributed on a first-come, first-served basis and may be distributed without regard for a project's consistency with the state strategic plan. That's what we've been working towards. We've been forming those local technology planning teams with our county champions to help the state come up with this state strategic plan that's going to be due in June. That $366 million that comes from the Coronavirus Capital Projects Fund under the American Rescue Plan has to be submitted back to the feds by September. So we've got a few different timelines, got a lot of money here, but we have to make sure that the money is spent the right way. This money has strict strings as opposed to the money on the other side of the bill. And those two big things are that it must assess critical need related to work, education, and health monitoring. And the projects have to be designed to address a critical need that resulted from the impacts of COVID-19. So these
polls caught in COVID?
No, the polls don't have COVID, Bob. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Not going there.
Just wanted to be sure.
So we really got to make sure that those funds are spent in a way that, they have to assess a certain level of speed. They have to consider affordability, a low-cost option. They have to have reporting on pricing data, low-income subsidies, and that explanation of critical need, which, of course, hits those components on access, affordability, reliability, consistency. The other portion of the bill has $400 million. And that's where it's taking $400 million from the state and local fiscal recovery funds, from the state allocation. Of course, counties got their direct allocation. However, from the state portion, they're putting $400 million into the Opportunity Grant Program. We talked about that one in the past. Last session, that was part of the bill, House Bill 1239 from 2021. The problem with the Opportunity Grants Program is that it has strict limitations. It has language that says the grant funds cannot be used to install broadband to a geographic area in which broadband internet service is already deployed by at least one provider. And, in other words, those funds aren't able to harness competition. They pick winners and losers.
Doesn't it also have a provision that anyone can dispute, can protest?
Right. There's challenge processes. There's restrictions on combining, leveraging funds with the federal funds.
So even if you got granted the money, someone could come and say, no, we don't like how you're going to spend it?
Right. A provider or just anybody could just challenge the process, slowing it down and not, really getting to the point of expanding broadband. So we support modifying the grant program. We support additional funds for the Office of Broadband. They've got this potential of $100 million to process the applications for the polls. They have $400 million that could be going into the grants program, and the other $266 million, let alone the money coming down the pipe in the federal infrastructure package, other grants through NTIA, through Reconnect, USDA. They've got a lot. Unfortunately, they need more help. They need more help.
And that bill, it didn't do any of these things that we're asking for them to do?
We're working on it, Bob.
Wow, it sounds like narrowband to me.
Crickets, Bob. And I don't think anybody laughed on that one. Thanks, Milan. We needed that. And in closing on that, the bill just doesn't reflect a holistic, collaborative approach, meeting with stakeholders, to make sure that we deploy broadband in unserved and underserved Florida. There is more to broadband than polls, Bob. I think you know that.
Then you said that in committee, did you not?
I did.
I think that was the mic drop moment.
We've done the rundown, Bob. We've done the rundown. We've done our big things.
Don't we have a moment? A very important moment.
Is it might be Florida's favorite moment, or is it America? Jared, do you know? Is it America's favorite moment?
Whatever happens, it will rock me.
Milan's moment.
This week's data point is on affordable housing. Affordable housing is a continual obstacle for Floridians. Per financial year 2021 data, a full-time hourly worker making minimum wage $8.65 at monthly time would need to work 93 hours a week to afford a modest one-bedroom rental. This issue has become extremely evident in metropolitan areas. Florida's most populous county, Miami-Dade County, is currently working on investing $260 million into housing options for its residents, including 14,000 units of affordable housing and development. These solutions follow years of suffering experienced by rental and homeowners in Miami. According to Florida's International University's report, Miami's housing affordability crisis, 6 in 10 employed adult residents of the greater Miami spend more than 30% of their incomes on housing, which is the highest rate of any large metro area in the nation. In this year's proposed budget, Governor Ron DeSantis allocated $355.5 million to fund the Sadowski's Housing Fund. In this year's proposed budget, Governor Ron DeSantis allocated $355.5 million to fund the Sadowski Affordable Housing Trust Funds, which provides housing programs and economic relief. This funding includes $95 million for the State Apartment Incentive Loan Program, $220.5 million for the State Housing Initiative Partnership Program. FAC has been following several bills seeking to provide relief for the affordable housing crisis. Bob, would you like to further explain what's going on in affordable housing?
Yeah, Bob, I think we have some budget updates, right?
Yeah, both the House and the Senate dropped their initial spreadsheets on the budget this week. The Senate's closer, but not quite to the level of the governor's office. The House has fallen short of that. Right now, it appears like they're not funding the sale program, but it is early in the budget process. These are the budget chair's recommendations. It's the first part. It will go to the full appropriations committee next, then to the floor, then to conference committee. So it's really the kickoff of the process, but right now they're farther apart than certainly members of the Sadowski Coalition would like them to be, particularly given the legislation last year and the promise of full funding moving forward. Thank you, Milan.
You're welcome. We have a few announcements. This week, Miami-Dade had their day days. If you weren't able to attend, you missed out on their paellas, their pig roast, the Mambo Kings, the cigars they passed out.
I think some of our analysts in the...
Oh, yeah. We went to Mambo Days.
And did you have the paella, too?
Mambo Nights.
Mambo Kings, right, Eddie? That's an event that's been going on for a long time.
I did it 22 years ago.
Did you get to try the yuca?
We tried the yuca, the black beans and rice, the pig.
Roasted pig.
Some of us tried the pig.
It's called pork. Roasted pork.
Eddie, can we add some culture to the proper lechon? Thank you.
La yuca, frijoles.
And yes, I did get one of the last plates of paella. I first had paella in the Capitol in 1995, the time Bill Clinton stirred the paella vat.
Wow, Bob, you're old. Hey, analysts, were any of you even alive in 1995? No, I didn't think so.
Hey, I'm a boomer, not a zoomer.
Wow.
So it was a good time. We had the 305 Dale squad up in the Capitol this week.
Dale? Is that what you just said?
That's what they say in Miami, Shiloh.
No, you said it so wrong.
Dale. Is that better? Dale?
That's good.
Thank you for the approval. And we're getting back down to we're at the halfway point, Bob. We're just about there. When we get back here on Monday, I think that's where we're going to be, right?
Day 30 is Wednesday next week. Halfway through the apex moment.
And we didn't have our esteemed director or deputy executive director with us, Davin, in studio. I hope we did you proud, Davin, with this episode of FACish.
Now wait, don't do Davin's quote. That's Davin.
What? It is not the critic who counts.
No,
not the man.
That belongs to Davin. I know it's not his quote, but it's his quote on this show. So I'm going to step in today.
Go for it, Bob.
I'm going to go to the great American philosopher Yogi Berra. It ain't over till it's over, till the hanky drops. We'll keep on going, working on that lunatic fringe, and we will rock you. Back out.